I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
And
Buy
it's
our merch.
Charlene.
How are you, everyone?
This is for the big homie,
Anthony.
And Tony.
Okay, so we
and
have
Tony Soprano.
It's called an Anthony stream. So all these songs are his.
That's corny. Tony stream, Soprano stream, you know, like Tony Soprano and Tony, whatever.
Oh, well.
Anyway.
Too late. Thumbnails made.
This is Sevendust. The name of this song is Love.
Where's our comments?
I think there's going to be no comments because I'm putting this on private, although somehow we have 2 viewers.
Well, we have to. I told Anthony he wants it live. He wants a live stream, like his own live stream. So he's coming in to see it.
Okay. Well, then I will make it live in a second. It might as well be live because there's 5 people here. So I don't know how that happens.
I already made it live.
Oh, you made it live.
Yeah, when I put the thumbnail.
Sure. You put that thumbnail on there? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, then we're live.
It says Anthony stream.
All right, so when you get the comments up, then you're going to have to get the YouTube page on the other thing, all right? There he is.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you want me to do?
Get our YouTube page. So, like, I'm on this side and you're on that side, so I have to do something. You can keep talking to him. Does that make sense? We live, baby.
All right.
We live. This stream is dedicated to the big homie Anthony. Shout out to the big homie Anthony. Rest in peace, ears.
So we're about to get into this Sevendust song. Are we gonna stop after each song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to do a regular review. Okay, so first up is Sevendust Love. If you, dear listener, would like your own dedicated stream, reach out to Sori on Patreon or me, Vin and Sori @gmail.com. We'll explain to you how to pull that off. The first song on our list, however, is from the band Sevendust. This is the official video, so you guys know the deal. It might get blocked. The name of the song is Love. Let's go.
Love, dangerous and mean, kills like a diamond. We are human. Trust, careless and vague, leads us to our better end. One final
Sevendust.
Okay, so that was.
We gotta do.
Anthony said this is my favorite song off the new Sevendust album, Blood and Stone, and he thinks it's going to be a great discussion.
Yeah.
It will, I'm sure.
For sure. Shout out to Sevendust. We actually got a guy in the village. His name is Sevendust. That's his tag.
That's right. Yeah, we do. Yeah,
So
that's what he goes by.
He's gonna enjoy this. Holy moly. Okay, so
Yikes. This is.
go ahead. You start.
Love, dangerous and mean, kills like a tyrant. We are human. Trust, careless, and vague. Leads us out to our bitter end. One final blow. So sad. The whole song is about love. But it seems like. So it's like, why do we do this? Like, why do we put ourselves in a situation where we love and we want love in return when we don't even like the feeling? I think that we like the feeling of the happy love feelings, but like you've said it before, love and relationships go in a cycle, and there's like the really high highs, and then there can be the really low lows. And I think when you're in the low lows, you're like, wait, why am I doing this to myself? Why do we do this? Why do people do this? You guys, something is rotting in our studio, and I don't know what it is.
Well, it says to the bitter end.
Yeah, it's
so
just...
that's it's looks like a breakup to me.
Well, yeah, but it's saying.
And I think he's saying, I'm not gonna get into another relationship. I'm done with this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Although it seems like in verse 2, love is personified. Because love tells you you're weak, arrogant liar, you're not human. What have we done now? Why do we fall so far below? Why do we love if we don't like the feeling? Just give me one good reason. Well, we do like the feeling.
Well, okay, so I was talking to somebody, and anyway, I was talking, and there's this whole idea that to really, really love somebody, you have to be vulnerable. And so love and vulnerability kind of come hand in hand. And so maybe when they say it, we don't even like the feeling, maybe it's the feeling of the vulnerability that comes along with love.
Yeah. I think what he's saying is we don't like the feeling when it goes sour. And it looks like he's got a kind of, nihilistic understanding that all relationships are going to end that way. So he's saying, why do we keep going into this situation when we know it's going to end bad and we don't like that feeling? Give me one good reason. Which, of course, that's the ultimate question. Obviously, for us, we're going to say, well, the reason we keep doing that is because we were created for, relationships, which is really interesting now because we're studying this secular scientist by the name of Hoffman, who has come up with this brilliant, it's this interesting hypothesis, and then the stuff that branches out from that is also interesting. But basically what he's saying is that matter isn't fundamental. Like, a lot of us think, the Big Bang, boom, and then somewhere along the line consciousness emerged, and then we're trying to figure out how consciousness emerged from matter, which, hint, hint, you never will. Because it's logically impossible. But what he says is, no, actually consciousness is fundamental, and the world you're in now is just a desktop. It's basically that's full of icons. It's similar to simulation theory, but not really, because simulation theorists are still generally physicalists. He's not. So what he believes is that what you see and touch and all smell, hear, whatever, that's all just an interface that we created so that we could inhabit these physical bodies that we call machines, that we call bodies, so that we could find each other and actually relate to each other. Because if we're just raw, naked consciousness, we're not going to be able to. But when you put that consciousness inside of a body, then you can smile, and so that consciousness can communicate that it's happy, or you can cry, which communicates it's sad.
Or you can be angry.
So even from a secular perspective there, if you adopt Hoffman's hypothesis, then that also explains why we're basically imprisoned or trapped with the desire to love and be loved and to know and to be known. what's his face? What's the name? What's it, the Survivor movie where the guy crashes on the island and he ends up talking to the Castaway, whatever his name is.
Castaway, but Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, yeah. And like he lands on this island, he's by himself, but he has to create a friend.
Wilson.
Because that's the entire point, is that we're and interestingly enough, in Hoffman's universe, when he's talking to the soccer ball, there is some sort of consciousness connected to it. See, that I don't think I've told you that before.
That's true.
So like a rock, everything has some consciousness behind it in his mind, in his worldview.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So when he was talking to Wilson, he was actually relating to somebody. But yeah,
that's weird.
The desire to love and be loved is it's inescapable. It's inescapable, and we're never going to be able to shake loose of that because it's part of human nature. Whether you take the Hoffman perspective or the biblical perspective, you're going to want to love someone and want to be loved by someone. Mm-hmm. But
you don't want pain and you don't want the hurt that goes along with it. So I think that some people run from it because it's like, especially if you've had a previous bad experience, mm-hmm. then it does. I think that probably in my rawest and darkest moments with the idea of love, I have thought it does not exist as far as like male to female. Like, yeah, I think that in those darkest moments, I felt like there can be like the fire or the spark of love. But as far as like two people loving each other unconditionally and like doing life together, no. But then I'll have my like bright moments where I'm like, yes, this is all yes, and everyone should, so it really depends on what day you catch me on, if I'm being cynical or not.
Well, yeah, I a lot of American culture and Western culture is designed to avoid pain and discomfort by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. And when you set up a society like that, you actually end up generating massive amounts of pain and suffering. Because if for example, you got the, people used to say all the time, like, hey man, how did all those people stay together in the 50s and the 60s, and now mm-hmm. no fault divorce, everybody gets divorced at the drop of a hat. I think there's something to that, like the lack of willingness to really grind when situations are hard. Like love is it, and there's a little hint to the differentiation in the song itself when he talks about if we don't like this feeling. Mm-hmm. And so, I've said a bunch of times that we're composed of a bunch of different layers. And what happens with some people is that, actually the majority report, the feeling that a person gets when they're in love or whatever people want to call it, people call that feeling the sum total of what love is. So when that feeling goes, they say, oh, I must not be in love anymore, because I don't have the same feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's an extremely dangerous way to go about your life, being completely guided by your feelings. But if you look at the Western world, especially American culture, what have we heard our entire life? Follow your heart, believe in yourself, blah, blah, blah.
Well, he said, take what you want, none of it matters, but be what you are.
Yeah.
Goes along with what you were saying, kind
of
the whole your own.
Well, I think that's a bitter thing that he's saying to the other person. Oh. I think that's a way for him to say, you took everything from me, I don't matter, but you can do whatever you want to do because whatever. Which
I thought he was adopting that for himself.
Yeah, I think he was projecting.
He loved, and now he's like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I think he was projecting, or it might just be his advice, like, hey, love went bad for me, so now I'm going to give you some terrible advice in the midst of my bitterness. But if love is just I think people are generally better at this with their kids. Like, yeah, most people know, okay, the kid's born, you see him born or whatever, you're holding him. It's this very emotional, beautiful moment. And then later on, the terrible twos hit, and then you don't feel, oh, look at my nice cushy kid. But we still realize that, I think somebody said in the chat, it's about commitment, right? It's about committing. You as a parent are committed to that kid. No matter how the kid makes you feel, you're going to continue to do the right thing for that kid because you're committed beyond your feelings.
Yeah.
And so, but when it gets to like relationships, we drop that off, right? Like it's like now it's like, oh no, it's if the feeling's gone, then we don't love the person. Well, that's not true. But on the other side, if it's just pure raw volitional commitment, that's not love either. So I had a guy, the main guy that was like discipling me, like he was like that. He swung in the complete other direction. Like love has nothing to do with feelings. It's a choice. It has nothing to do with your emotions. It's all a choice. And he would say that because of the dangers that we just talked about, but he would swing the other way. It is ridiculous.
So boring.
It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, of course.
I grit my teeth and I loved you for 50 years, baby.
Which obviously at the time for the situation that I was in, it was, definitely something I needed to hear because obviously.
She's having trouble with that child safety.
What was she trying
She's
to get?
bringing a charger because this computer. There we go.
You couldn't get past the child safety law.
How cute.
Another
Thank
awesome
you.
homeschool commercial.
Hey!
I
I'm just taking your charger.
Hey, we're in the middle of work, you dumb butt.
Oh. You get what you get, babe.
Now she's stuck again.
Oh no!
Zoe, come on.
Now they've announced your name has been announced.
It's dark. It's dark in the hallway.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Go ahead.
That's for you.
Bye.
Bye now. We love you.
You guys will miss me?
Yeah,
Of course.
I'll miss you now. Get out.
And your puffs. Well, yeah, I think that if it's
So
just
he swung the other way, and it was just like, just grind it out, Finn. Grind it out with that broad. But it was good because, if I just relied on my feelings, I wouldn't have lasted as long as I did with her. But I just don't. That's not something
still
that's
debatable if that was the most healthy way to do that.
whether or not it was healthy was the right thing, and again, like you got to do the right thing, even if it costs you your health. I mean, good night. I'm saying this as a man. I'm not saying it the other way around. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you because if something is gonna go badly and there's kids involved, I feel like it's better for it to go badly when they're younger. I feel like the older they are and the more they have to
But
be.
how could a person know if it's going to go badly?
Well, I think that there are signs,
Yeah, there
I
are
mean, like,
signs,
let's
but
say
people
there's, like,
change.
some-
People change all the time.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
But again, the relationships are very hard, man. It's very difficult, and most people go into relationships for completely self-centered reasons. The person makes me feel good. I feel great when I'm around you. Blah 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 blah. And so when the person stops making them feel that way, they say they're out of love, when in reality what they're saying is, I sucked up all the nectar that you have to offer, and there's really nothing else you can give me to make me feel better, and this person over here makes me feel better, so see you later. That's horrible. But the other side is a horrible too. Like, we stayed married together for 65 years, and I have no emotion for this girl whatsoever, but I grinded it out and did it right. Well, that's not good either. But of course,
I said about that person, like those. I'm assuming I'm talking about the same person as you. I said they don't even sleep together anymore, and you were like, so? I mean, if that's more comfortable for them to have separate rooms, I'm like, that's not a good sign. And here you are saying the person was saying, grind it out.
Well, I don't. Yeah, he was saying that about me and my situations, but they had a very emotional relationship, those two.
Oh, well, that's good. Good for
Yeah,
them.
it's just their sleeping arrangements were a bit weird in my opinion, but they definitely and old couples. You told me old couples used to do that all the time, sleep in separate beds.
No. I told you that the movies and shows in the 50s, they had them in separate beds, but that was because of the rating on the shows. They couldn't show a toilet. They couldn't show people in bed together.
Yeah.
They would show the wall, and you would see the shadow on the wall sometimes.
Yeah. I just think that it's one of those situations where it's a very important balance, and it's something that you get over time. And I spend a lot of time talking to the boys about that. A lot of time. Because you're not going to get a counter message in our culture.
No,
about love.
people say all the time, I'm just not happy anymore. I'm not happy anymore.
Yeah.
That's been like the biggest reason why I've heard people being done. I'm not happy anymore.
Yeah. And, like I said, and Jamie says anybody who says love isn't selfish is a hypocrite. I don't think getting a benefit off of something necessarily makes you selfish, right? So, for example, as a matter of fact, the way we judge whether a person is giving or not, or good versus bad, is by what makes them happy and what makes them sad. That's how we judge whether or not a person's good. So, for example, if you see a brutal murder on TV, and the person next to you is like, yeah, that's great, and you can tell they're getting some sort of high off of human suffering, you're like, oh my God, that person's terrible. What a horrible person. But if you hear that somebody's house burned down in a fire, and then somebody gave their life savings and bought that person a new house, and they interviewed that person, and the person said, well, it killed me to see what happened to that family, and there's nothing that makes me more happy than seeing them have a house restored. So I bought happiness for myself by buying them that house. So I'm good. Anybody would say that is a good person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The reason a good person is good is because their happiness is directly connected to the happiness and well-being of others. And the reason a bad person is bad is because the things that they get happy about have to do with the suffering of others. So in that sense, love is ultimate when it's completely selfless, in the sense that it's dedicated to the other while simultaneously finding joy in the joy of the other. In that sense, love is not selfish, but you can definitely see a benefit there.
Yeah.
We call a person selfish when they're only happy with their own happiness at the expense of another person. A person is selfish not because they're happy. A selfish person is selfish because they're only happy when they're happy, and they don't care about the happiness or sadness of others. So when you plug that into a relationship, that's a very, very important principle, and something that... But you see, we generally cannot control emotions, and this guy was a big control guy. He was very, very big on control. And so because you can't... So anything that he couldn't control, he would not teach on. He would talk about... He would just talk about what you could control. Right? Which I disagree with, by the way. Because it cuts out any necessity for God to act. So if you still hold the person responsible for feelings, but they can't feel what they're supposed to feel, then that forces you into prayer. Because you're like, God, you need to give me a heart that feels properly. But when you eliminate that side of it, then there's no difference between an atheist or a Christian in that perspective, because you're just white knuckling it. So it's a really complex, difficult situation to navigate love, especially when lies are involved. Arrogant liar, you're not human. Which if I'm right, and verse 2 is what the other person said to LeJohn, then that would make sense. Being on the road, right? Being on the road, being a rock star, arrogant liar. And I could see his girl just completely going off on him. Yeah, it's tough because, a lot of these rock stars, they genuinely, in the moment, love their significant other or whatever, and then they hit the road like City 5, and it gets to be a bit difficult. Little alcohol, little line here and there, and then all of a sudden you're in a bad situation in the tour bus. So I can imagine how those things go.
Okay. Oh no, what have we done now? Why do we fall so far below? Oh no, where do we go now? Why is it so hard to be alone? Yeah. Yeah,
and it's hard to be alone because you're never meant to be alone. But it really descends into nihilism here. In the blink of an eye, you live and die for what? In love, I don't believe. So, which is true. Like, if you adopt that, if you really surrender and give up on love, I'm not even talking about from a Christian world, I'm just any worldly. If you actually, truly adopt that understanding of love, that it's just, whatever, then yeah, all you're left with is nihilism. Well, what's the point of anything then?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Because all we are is consciousnesses trying to find each other. So if you give up on that pursuit, then you're going to be like, well, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. Thankfully, we have mediums like music and things of that nature where, we have at least a fighting chance of being able to get back to that place.
Yeah.
Also, LeJohn and his wife lost their baby after this album was released. So that's sad. I don't think the baby was the subject matter. Although, that might be something that brings them together or pushes them farther apart. It
That's what
depends.
I was thinking.
It really, really depends.
Like, if it's already this rocky and then they lost the baby, it's true. It could go either way.
Yeah, I've never really seen a relationship where it was just smooth all the time. I heard about one on Focus on the Family. There was this one guy, and he said something to the effect of, yeah, I mean, my whole life has been pretty cushy. I've been happy my whole life. Me and Charlene, whatever her name was. He's like, we just been happy. We never, whatever. The Lord's always been good to us, and blah, blah, blah. He basically said from start to finish, his life has been pretty much a cakewalk. I'm like, well, SubhanAllah, good for you, bro. But aside from that, homie, I haven't seen it. Like, everybody's got to get this. You got to decide. You have to be very, very intentional about your philosophy of love. And it's preferable. Danny, listen to me. You're 14 years old, so listen. It's preferable if you can figure this out and have a real established understanding of what kind of lover you're going to be before you get into a relationship. A lot of people are trying to build it as it's happening, which is like building an airplane in the sky, right? Like, I think there's some wisdom in really dedicating yourself for a bit to figure out what type of person you are, what your philosophy on love is, what your parameters are, that type of thing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, yeah, and they're stronger now more than ever, so that's good.
Oh, so it brought them together.
Well,
Did they have another baby?
Well, this is a recent record. This came out in 2020, so.
Oh, well, it's still, we're 20.
I mean, it's possible, I guess, but.
I give it a 9.1.
Yeah, I give a solid 9. Really, really good song and really deep subject matter. Mm-hmm. So, there you go. Rest in peace to LeJohn's baby. You'll see him again real soon, big homie. Not too soon, because we need more music. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.